Today I'm going to be starting a vlog for this knitting project of mine that I'm starting, which is the April cardigan for my friend as a birthday gift that is about already 2 months late. Anyway, last summer, two of my best friends requested April cardigans as their birthday gifts. I've already finished the first one, which I'm really super happy about because I did it in a fingering weight gauge. Thankfully, the second friend does not want it to be in the fingering weight gauge. She said it's okay with a DK weight gauge. I've already done my swatch, which is right here. I'll talk about the yarn in a second. My gauge swatch is giving me a 21.5 stitch per 10 centimeter gauge. So I'm going to stick with the size that I intended to knit for her. I'm not going to try to size up my needle or size up the garment size because this is an 80% superwash merino wool and 20% nylon blend. So I expect the garment to grow a little bit more because of the superwash quality. So I think that once the cardigan is done and blocked, it's going to have that 21 stitch gauge, which this pattern requires. So I'm going to stick with the needle size that I used to make up this swatch, and the yarn that I'm using for this project is Filcolana Alvetta, which is actually originally a sock yarn, so it's a fingering weight sock yarn with 80% superwash merino wool and 20% nylon, and I'm going to be holding it double to make a DK weight. I've already spun 2 balls of that together with my yarn winder just to make it a bit easier to carry. I'm knitting this out in 4mm needles. I was looking for them, but it's actually the one that I'm using as a microphone holder right now. These are actually my Koshitsu needles from C-Knits. I recently purchased these just because I needed some extra needles in the sizes that I generally use the most, which is between 3mm and 4.5mm. And I thought, why not try the C-Knit needles because everyone keeps talking about them, about how good they are. So that's exactly what I did. So far, I'm really pleased with them. So I definitely going to jump onto the train of people saying that C-Knit needles are amazing. I like how sharp they are here. They're really good at grabbing the yarn because they have a nice sharp quality to them. So now I'm gonna cast on, basically. The April cardigan is one of Petite Knit's most kind of popular patterns. I see everyone knit one of these. I see some people sizing up a little bit because they don't want something as fitted. The garment is intended to have 6 to 8 centimeters of positive ease, so it's like a relatively fitted garment. For my friend, we're aiming for more like a 10 centimeter positive ease, so that's what I've selected for her. The construction is really interesting because it's got these kind of English style tailoring fitted sleeves and a side saddle shoulder as well. You don't have to do a front and a back separately. It's all kind of just a bit like if you were doing a raglan cardigan essentially. I find that quite good because I like the fact that you get a very fitted look without having to do the front and back separately. I'm gonna be doing the mod that a lot of people end up doing, which is that people tend to change the button band into what is originally a 1x1 rib into a double knitted button band. That's what I did for my friend's cardigan, the first one that I finished, and it looks super nice. Although I have to say, it takes bloody ages to do double knitted button bands on a whole cardigan, but it is what it is. It looks so gorgeous. It's so worth doing that change in my opinion. Hi. So I've finished casting on my stitches and I've divided everything into the way you're supposed to divide. I've used these little ampoule shaped safety pins, which are really useful because they work both as a stitch marker, but also because you can remove them like safety pins. You can kind of place them wherever you want. So I've used these to mark, I don't know, different places on my knitting. Like I want to mark, say, an increase on my knit, or I want to mark where I want to place the button band or something. I really recommend these. They often sell them in yarn shops and local yarn stores, but I think it would be cheaper actually if you got them in a non-knitting setting. You just got some ampoule shaped safety pins on Amazon. It's probably going to be a lot more cheaper. You probably get a lot more for your buck. The way the construction works is that you first start off by doing the rapid increases for the shoulder, and then you do increases just on the sleeve part to shape the sleeve cap around here, and then at the end you do increases raglan style both on the body side and the sleeve style, so just to increase some of the ease around your armpit before you split the sleeves from the body and knit the rest of the body. And obviously everything's knitted flat because it's a cardigan, so there's going to be a lot of very long purl rows, which I'm not really looking forward to, but that's what you get for knitting cardigans, and that's why I don't knit too many cardigans actually. By the way, let me know in the comments whether you knit continental or English style. I knit continental style. I learned how to knit English style with ironically my French mother teaching me how to knit English style, and then because I wanted to like speed up my knitting and I was told that continental was pretty good for that, I taught myself how to knit continental using some YouTube videos, and I also taught myself how to do the Norwegian purl, which is like a continental purl but like there's a weird hand motion involved basically. I really like doing that. I did notice a kind of change in my knitting speed when I changed over. As soon as I got used to the continental style, I feel like I was definitely knitting quite a bit faster. We're 3 rows into the pattern and I've already made a mistake. I forgot to do one of the increases that you're supposed to do at the edge of your piece for the v-neck increases. It's only when I got to the end of this row where I realized, oh crap, I didn't do it on the other side. But there's a technique for doing make one left or make one right when you've forgotten to do them the row before. I'm gonna leave a link to a video that explains this technique in the description box, so hopefully that saves other people from whenever they've made a mistake of not doing a make one left or make one right in the previous row. It's super useful.
How that looks, we're in love. I want to spend this money on this.
Fixed it. I finished doing the shoulder increases, which are really popping right now really well with this color that I chose. The color is coming out quite blue on camera, but it's actually more of a teal. And now, so this is the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, and now the increases are gonna be just in this part and it's gonna form the sleeve cap essentially, while the back is gonna stay the same stitch count. And then all the while I do that, I increase on the edges here to shape the v-neck essentially. Hello, I'm filming from Japan actually because I'm now traveling to visit some family, but I thought I'd give a quick project update on how everything's going with the April cardigan number 2. So I've made some quite tremendous progress and it's only been about like a week and a half, 10 days since I started this project. So let me show you. Here it is. So basically I've managed to finish the yoke in about a week and I've just been knitting away at the body here. I've split for sleeves and I'm using the petite knit barber cords. I bought them for like €5 in a shop in Switzerland and they were selling it because I thought, why not? So this is the yoke and this is the 2 front panels and these will be the sleeves later on. I've made about like 4 centimeters on the body. I did actually manage to get a lot of knitting done in the plane on my way to Japan because that was a 13-hour plane ride. So I think I had a marker put in right at the start of my plane ride and I did about this much. I only knit about 4 hours in the plane because I was so tired, and I also had to make sure I slept well in the plane because the next day we'd arrive in the morning in Japan and have a full day of travel to get to the countryside. So yeah, only made about 5 centimeters of progress on the body in the plane, but I think that's fine. I'm gonna keep knitting on this during my trip. I think I have enough yarn to last the 2 weeks, and I don't think I'm gonna be knitting that much during the trip because I'll be obviously enjoying the fact that I'm in Japan. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Hi, I've come back from my trip to Japan. It was a really lovely trip and I hope you enjoyed the little footage montage that I did. But anyway, I wanted to talk about the knitting that I got done while I was in Japan. So I put this marker on from where I went off to the trip, and then this one for the end of the trip. So I put this marker on at the end of my flight coming back to the UK from Japan. And I'd say I've knitted a decent amount while I was away. So this is pretty nice. I'm basically at the point where I have finished the stockinette on the body and I'm ready to start the ribbing. The ribbing is 10 centimeters long, so the cardigan might look a bit short right now, but that's because there's still like 10 centimeters missing from the bottom of it, from the ribbing. Not looking forward to the ribbing, it's not my favorite part, but at least when that's done, then I'll be able to try it on and stuff, and also get started on sleeves, which do go a lot quicker than the rest. And then there'll be the dreaded double knitted button band to do once all that's done. Hello, today is Saturday the 1st of March and I thought I'd do a quick update. I am finally, well, nearly done with the body, which is great stuff. So I finished the 10 centimeters of ribbing at the bottom of the body here. So I'm about to do the Italian bind off. But before I do that, I wanted to talk about something that happened the other day. So if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this in my stories, but tragedy has struck. I managed to break my C-knit needle. Oh yeah, you can see the bend here. I managed to break my C-knit needles. Basically on Thursday, I had a really bad day with my PhD because I kind of realized that I had a big problem with my code. That's part of the submission for my paper. So I was having a pretty shit day to begin with. And then I was knitting and I put my knitting away. And I think I placed it basically by this door on the floor. And the needle got stuck inside the hinge here. And as I got around to closing or opening this wardrobe door, I bent the needle and I was so close to crying. My fiance has said that he can probably try to fix this because he's got all the material for basically wood glue to put this back on. He'd have to snap it off completely and then glue it back on. And then he has all the sanding equipment to make sure that after he glues the two parts, then everything can be back to smooth, so that I don't lose on any of the smoothness of this needle. I just pulled out. Sorry about this weird angle. Sorry that I'm looking absolutely shocked. But I just wanted to update you guys because I finished the first sleeve. Wow. Ha! So nice. It took so little time to make this sleeve. I think I started it on Saturday evening and I got about just one kind of decrease done. Yeah, you could see the stitch marker here. And then I did the rest Sunday, yesterday a little bit for 2 hours during knit night. Knit night's a really good time to do sleeves because you can just like, it just gets done without realizing. Basically you're yapping with the other knitters and then suddenly you realize, oh my god, I'm almost done with the sleeve. So basically at the end of knit night I ended up being at the second to last decrease, which is right around here. So just now I spent 2 hours doing the last bit of decrease and here, and then the ribbing and the Italian bind off, which is looking quite nice and neat. Very happy with that. The ribbing's looking a bit uneven right now, but as soon as I block it, this will be solved. So yeah, only one more sleeve and then the dreaded double knit button band to do, and I'm done. And it's been about 65 hours of knitting at this point. Hello, we're back on this angle. So the project is just looking like nothing right now because everything's scrunched up, but good news is that I finished my 2 sleeves. So I've just picked up for the button band, except my needles are way too short for the length of the neck and the button band. So yeah, it's looking all scrunched up. But I just wanted to show how I place my buttons on the button band like this. So what I mean by that is how you place the placement of your buttonholes when you've got a button band like this and you need to make the holes as you go. The pattern calls for the buttonholes to be on the right side, which is usually the way it's done for women's cardigans. Now I've noticed that a lot of people when knitting up the cardigan, they put the top button a bit too close to the v-neck, and it causes the v-neck to look very high when it shouldn't be. So what I do is, I don't know if you're going to see much on the camera, but you've got the beginning of the v-neck around here, and what I've done is I've gone quite maybe like 2 or 3 centimeters below the tip of the v-neck to put my top buttonhole. And what this does is that it makes sure that the button doesn't end up at the bit where the V starts, because you have to account for the fact that the button band adds a layer, and so there's a curve around it, and so the tip of the v-neck is looking a bit lower than the bit where you start, where you essentially like finish the increases for the v-neck. I don't know if that made sense, but basically when I place my buttons, so this is the right front panel, which is looking like nothing. Sorry about that. So you've got the button band starting from below here. So I've placed my first buttonhole, which I mark with these markers, like 3 or 4 stitches above the bottom, and then I've got the top buttonhole placed under the v-neck here. And what I do, because I've got 2 buttonholes to place left, is that I calculated the number of stitches between these 2 markers, and that came out to 101 stitches. And if I were to place 2 buttons here, that would create 3 parts, right? So what I do is divide this 101 stitches into 3, and that gives me approximately the number of stitches I have to count from this bottom stitch or the top one until I have to place my next buttonhole, and so on. So that makes sure that they're nice and evenly placed. So the only thing that you kind of have to freehand is the bottom hole here and the top hole, and then the rest you do this calculation to even out. So that's my technique. I hope that helps anyone. I'm going to do that right now. So obviously 101 is not divisible by 3, but that's not too much trouble. So I'm just gonna count like 33 stitches here and then 34 for the next buttonhole, and then that will even it out. It's no big deal. Right. And that's the other one in. Ta-da! So now, I don't know how much of this you'll be able to see, but my stitch markers for the buttonholes are placed nice and evenly along the front panel. So now I've got to start the dreaded double knit button band. Ooh, I'm not looking forward to this. Oh well. It's hail. We're having hail. What the actual hell? Ah! Last row. Oh my god, it's done. Okay, now I just need to do the cast off. I'm so excited. So glad I'm done with this. I'm really looking forward to just going back to my own projects. Alright, so the way I cast off a double knit button band is the same way I do an Italian bind off, because it's essentially as if you had a 1x1 rib. So you don't even need to put the needles on you don't even need to put the stitches on 2 different needles. I just do an Italian bind off, because doing a Kitchener stitch with 2 different needles is essentially the same thing as doing an Italian bind off. If you didn't know that, it's a good trick. It looks very very neat if you do it this way, just a simple Italian bind off. And then to kind of join it with the cast off from the ribbing of the body, I'm just going to continue the motion, but using the stitches that are already on the cast off of the body ribbing. Snip. Done. Right. Okay, let's try it on. Ooh, I'm so excited I finished this. I am done with gift knits for a long time. Alright, let's try it on. So, I expect this to grow by quite a bit because it's superwash yarn. Ah, it's looking so good. Yeah, but it is substantially smaller than what it should be. Just because of the blocking magic not having happened yet. Ta-da! Sorry, there's a bit of a blue on blue situation. But I just wanted to wear some like high-waisted jeans so you could kind of see where it hits. So it's just hitting around my hip bone. The friend who's receiving this is only a slightly bit shorter than I am. So yeah, looking good. I expect these sleeves to grow as well. So right now they're perfect wrist length, and I think they'll come about halfway like this. And then the waist is obviously very cinched in right now because of the wide ribbing section, but I also expect that to relax quite a bit. The button is looking perfect. So the highest buttonhole is around here. I think this pattern, honestly, I think petite neck could have made the v-neck deeper. But anyway, I think it's looking pretty good. So we're gonna go block it now. So that's the end of the project vlog. So I finally managed to gift my April cardigan to my friend after finally sewing the buttons like a month a month and a bit after I finished doing the button band. I don't know if anyone gets this, but there's like little tasks like this, like sewing buttons on. I end up procrastinating for so long, even though it's like such a small task to do. But anyway, the cardigan's done and it's been gifted to the intended person, and I think she's very happy with it, and she's already worn it a few times, so I'm super pleased with that. The fabric after blocking was super soft as well, and despite it being quite a thin, so to speak, jumper, because I guess it's just like DK weight, it's also quite warm as well. So I hope my friend gets to get a few more wears out of this cardigan, because the weather's been getting quite warm here in the UK. We're also having a bit of a heat wave at the moment, so it's not too exemplary of weather for this time, but still, before the summer I hope she gets to wear this cardigan a lot. And that concludes my little project vlog. So let me know if you like this sort of format, and if you'd like to follow more of a knitting project from start to end in this format. And thanks for watching. Make sure you give this channel a subscribe. We're very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. I'm super grateful for that. Thanks very much. And make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. See you next time.